Hello everyone, GZTV back with another video. In this video we are going to be talking about the 7th episode of Season 3 of the Ozarks. We're really winding it down with this season here, man. We've actually kind of gone pretty quick here. We've watched this season, it feels like in a blur. We're going to be finishing it up next weekend actually, and even going into Season 4. So this show is probably not going to take that long. I actually really like my format here, but we're talking about cooler heads in this one, So in the season premiere, Marty Byrde argued that he needed to play it safe because the newly opened Missouri Belle had recently hired 200 new employees, and you don't want to risk really anything, and there could be some feds there, yada yada yada. That's a lot of room for error. One of them could be unstable, one of them could be a mule, one of them could just be an idiot. If you think about it, the rest of the season has played out in a way that has proven Marty right. Marty is right here. I mean, he was very right to play it safe. I mean, he made the right decisions. Wendy wasn't with it. She was like, let's just keep moving on to different businesses so we can have more opportunities for FBI agents to be knocking on our doors. But yeah, man. Wendy may want to build an empire, but there are new, unpredictable faces around every corner. Ben Davis, Frank Cosgrove Jr., Maya Miller, Aaron Pierce. These are people that are super unpredictable, and they're loose cannons. They can do anything, really, and not know the consequence either. Either not know the consequences or not give a shit about the consequences. And obviously, not knowing the consequences is the case for people like Ben Davis, Maya Miller, who doesn't quite know what the cartel is doing. Well, I guess Maya kind of knows. Aaron Pierce definitely does not know about the consequences. A couple of these characters know about the consequences, but just don't give a shit. Maya Miller, Frank Cosgrove Jr. I mean, even people like Sam, who's essentially laundering money by losing it at the Missouri Belle, are variables. A lot of these people are tied into this, and it's really interesting to see how they affect things in the long run. It's cool, man. I like how all these characters are utilized. It's really awesome. I've hardly ever seen a show utilize its side characters as well as Ozark does here. All of them have made life more complicated and challenging for the Byrde family in ways they couldn't predict. And when Marty Byrde can't predict something, he's not safe. I mean, he's all about predictability, he's all about probability, numbers, yada yada yada. In Case of Emergency sets itself up as an episode about the aftermath of the cartel attack, but it's really all a stage for what's arguably the main event of the season. The nearly fatal beating of Ruth Langmore by Frank Cosgrove Jr. That shit's crazy. The head of the Kansas City mob told his dumb son that Ruth was untouchable, and his defiance of that mandate can only lead to problems. You better be fucking careful, mob. I mean, you guys may be a mob, and you may be dangerous and intimidating and all this stuff, but we're talking about a fucking Mexican cartel. A whole country full of people that can do the damn job. And they don't even send any of those people over here. Helen Pierce and the hitman have already done enough. They're already good enough for these people. They have a whole damn army waiting over there for someone to try some shit, I guess Frank Cosgrove is one of those variables, because he's continuing to egg shit on, and he doesn't know the consequences hardly. Can he even imagine what these people are capable of? I mean, I'm sure he can, to an extent, but yeah. Either vengeance is sought for Ruth's beating, starting an all-out war with the KC mob, or it's not, and Ruth Langmore will have to question where she stands in the hierarchy of the Byrde Empire. Everyone is brought in for questioning after the chaos that ended the previous episode with the whole bombing thing of the truck. No one is really giving anything up, but it's Ben who seems to be getting the most agitated. So, as the feds try to turn Ruth, good luck with that. Ben paces and gets more restless. When she's out, he wants to run. She knows they can, and this sends Ben into full panic mode. I mean, obviously he's bipolar. He has different, streams of emotions going through his head when things like this happen, and when he's kind of in a tough spot. But yeah. All the adrenaline after the attack is pumped up Wendy, too, who is brazen enough to ignore Omar Navarro's call. You're fucking psychotic for that. When her boss calls Helen instead and she hands her phone to Wendy, the Byrde matriarch is aggravated. She's still furious about the horse farm incident and reminds Navarro, Marty and I are the brand. We are a reputation. We're not just a criminal organization that goes around and does things ruthlessly without remorse. We have to keep an image, The Byrdes are the shield for the illegal operation. This is the cover. She plays to his intelligence and business sense, reminding him to let her do what she does well. She needs to be the face to protect the illegal activity going on behind the scenes, or else eventually that activity is going to be uncovered. So Marty and Helen learn in a meeting with the feds that they have a crazy theory about what happened. Tommy was a mole. They know Tommy committed the arson in episode 2, and he was giving them all the intel on the bird operation. The theory is that Marty found out and staged the cartel hit just to get rid of Tommy. As Helen points out, that would be near impossible to prove. And why the hell would Marty set someone up? Like, yeah, Marty's a pretty smart guy and he knows how to work around the business, but you think he is capable of doing this as a human being? Like, I just don't, like, I would never see that. The bigger problem is that Frank Jr. might believe it. He thinks Marty and Ruth got one of his friends killed. I mean, this was a good buddy of Frank's. After all, Ruth changed the drop location, which does raise a question as to how the attack took place that will hopefully get answered in a future episode. That does look a little suspicious on Ruth's part, but she obviously didn't set anyone up. We know that as an audience. Frank confronts her at the casino right in front of Maya. Wow, that's just perfect, isn't it? As if that's not enough tension on the casino floor, Maya confronts Sam at the table, telling him he'll be hearing from the IRS, considering, she's done the math, she looked at the books, the FBI is authorized to do so, and she's seen that he has lost $250,000 in casino money. Seems a bit off, man. I don't think losing $250,000 would obligate you to come back. He later calls Marty in a panic. Marty gets about one panicked phone call a day, maybe two, so he's kind of used to. He's like, yeah, we'll talk about it. Don't worry about it, man. So, obviously the big scene comes when Ruth is leaving the Bell one night and Frank jumps her, beating her nearly to death. This followed by a somber scene in a hospital waiting room covering how they had to operate. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Ruth literally could have died there. While Ruth recovers, Wendy and Marty plan their next move. They know they can't get to Maya Miller now. Wendy kind of has a new idea. Maybe they can just get to the FBI in general. So 3 Langmore comes to Darlene's house to talk to his brother about their cousin Ruth and what happened. Is this violent incident the thing that can repair the bridge between Wyatt and Ruth? They could possibly, bond over this. While that appears to be moving closer, Marty cuts all ties with Kansas City, threatening to kill Frank Jr. if he comes anywhere near any of them. This is probably one of the most savage scenes I've seen in this show. If you touch my daughter, my family, anyone I know ever again, you're going to find your son hanging from a tree in Juarez. That's one of the most savage things I've ever heard on this show. I mean, Marty, man. I don't know. We'll come to that, and will just cutting ties be enough for Ruth? Ruth wants more. It's definitely not enough for her. She wants action. Meanwhile, Wendy tries to woo some political capital for her new foundation by passing a senator some information about corruption and offering a fundraiser at the Bell. So she's basically going around Miller to embarrass her. If the FBI learns that she ignored a tip about a crime because she got so eager to bring in Marty, she could get in serious trouble, possibly lose her job. There's been a lot of corruption, kind of with this whole Bird case, Evans has been kind of a douchebag. Petty lost it and kind of cost his life, and yeah. The deeply unsettling relationship between Darlene and Wyatt gains another level in what is basically a confession scene, as Wyatt tells her about how Ruth revealed that she killed Wyatt's dad. And Darlene tells her new love about how she killed her husband Jacob, but she does so in a way that casts Marty as the real villain. Oh, Marty caused this. He was the one that put the cherry pits in my husband's drink in the morning. Yeah, totally, dude. Marty is the one who turned Darlene and Ruth into murderers, apparently. She claims that he's the bad influence, never really sensing the irony of how she's influencing Wyatt. And poor Wyatt, always surrounded by murderers, the Langmore curse. Dude, maybe it's the Bird curse. Like, can you really listen to Darlene? She lets her emotions get in the way of every fucking decision she makes. Also, poor Sue. The therapist who was getting bribed by the Birds and then demanded even more money to stay quiet really never comprehended the extent of her situation. She learned she overheard shit about the cartel. You're not living. I feel like that's something that the audience should have expected, but honestly, I didn't think she was going to die. I knew once that hitman went over, she was probably dead, but she even has the nerve to tell Helen Pierce that she wants more money. I'll make sure you're taken care of, says Helen, in a way that couldn't sound more ominous. It's not long before Helen's lackey has killed Sue and wiped the Bird data from her computer. Yeah, you can't be telling people about this cartel shit. They're serious about this. As that's happening, Ruth is waking up. Ben is by her side, but Ruth lies to him, telling him she's not sure if it was Frank. She knows it was fucking Frank, but she doesn't want Ben's bipolarness to get in the way and for him to lash out. She probably knows that Ben would kill him, and she wants that to be Marty's job. She wants Marty to take responsibility because this is his shit, you know? She basically says as much to Marty and Wendy, who try to talk her out of it. She claims she'll do it herself. Ruth isn't that wrong here. If Frank Jr. had beat up Charlotte Bird, he'd already be dead. And he's attacking a female. I mean, that's really the big thing of it all. The worst part is you're attacking a female. I don't know. As Ben is literally carrying Ruth home, Wyatt comes to her trailer. "Who did this, Ruth?" he asks. She pauses, much like she did in the hospital room with Ben, as if she knows she could turn him into an assassin. She could get a bunch of people to just fucking jump this guy in a damn instant. Who we are aren't so bad. It's the birds that cursed everything, he tells her. I mean, why? Why would you let Darlene soil your mind this much? Darlene killed her husband because she didn't agree with him. And she gets too emotional. And when someone doesn't agree with her, she takes action and kills them. You saw what happened with... I don't even remember what that cartel boss's name was. But has this whole episode been about planting the seed of potential dissent in Ruth Langmore? And did it work? Maybe Ruth is thinking about turning on the birds. I feel like that's a really big storyline that the show could focus on. But anyways, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank goodness for the non-interruptions here. I'm out, though. Have a good rest of your day. I'm doing great, Chippy. Hopefully you're doing well as well. I'm obviously ending the video, but if you want to stop by and check out the full video, feel free. I'm watching football today. It's literally starting in a couple minutes here. I think I'm going to my grandma's to visit with family. Might be streaming on Twitch, GZTV live on Twitch later tonight as well, if you guys want to check that out.